Hey guys, welcome back to my vlog. Today we're doing a very complicated recipe, but it only should be a couple carbs. It shouldn't be too bad. So we're doing, it's called sex in a pan. There's the pan. Alright, so we're going to make the crust for it, and it's got a couple layers. It's going to be crust, cheesecake, pudding, topping, whipped topping. Now you have to make all of these from scratch. So the crust is going to include 1 1/4 cup of almond flour, it's going to be 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. I use the unsweetened Hershey's cocoa powder. And you're going to need 1/4 cup of powdered sweetener. I have this. It's a stevia organic confectioner sweetener. You need about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I use a grinder. It's just a few twists. Really not that much. You're going to do 1/4 cup of butter melted, so I've got to melt this butter. Mix the dry ingredients first before we add the butter and our 1 tablespoon of water. You're going to want to spray this pan. You're going to want to preheat your temp to 325 Fahrenheit. It's going to have like the consistency, like the texture of like a graham crust. So it doesn't have to be like evenly mixed, just this is what it's going to look like pretty much. Crust. You're going to smooth this across the bottom of your pan as evenly as possible. That is going, we are going to do the cheesecake part and then set that aside, and then the pudding part. So the cheesecake part is 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I use this, and 1/4 cup of the powdered sweetener. I'm going to go for the sweetener first. get it. I mean, it stands at, it peaks a little, but I don't think I'm going to get any fluffier than that. I'm going to set this erythritol aside. So, note, with the original recipe, it said powdered sugar. I used erythritol instead. Powdered sugar did not whip. Erythritol will thicken. So, I have to change that part of the recipe. Alright, so your cream cheese should be soft. I'm going to use a full block of it, which is about 8 ounces. And our crust is ready. So next we have to make the pudding while the crust is cooling down. For the pudding, you're going to need a saucepan. I'm going to need 1 cup of heavy cream. Do you think I have a cup left in that thing? Alright, and I'm going to need my almond milk. I'm going to need 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk. You're going to want to put this on a medium high, kind of in between. You're going to want to keep your whisk on hand so that you can whisk it together. You're going to want to add your sweetener so that you can dissolve it. This says to use powdered sweetener again. So I'm going to try to use the powdered sweetener and see if it will dissolve in it. So again, I've got confectioner stevia, and it calls for ½ a cup. In it, so there are no carbs. None. You're just gonna whisk as you go, just to 1, thicken it, and 2, to make sure that all the sugar dissolves. I'm gonna need in a separate mixing bowl, which I need another mixing bowl to use. Do is whisk 4 egg yolks. I'm going to need 4 eggs. You're going to want to temper your eggs, which means not to let them scramble by adding a little bit of hot to it. Mixing it up so they don't scramble. Which raises the temperature of the eggs. Do that twice. This is basically what you do when you're making Eggs Benedict, so you don't scramble the eggs for the sauce. Now that that's up to temperature, you can add the eggs to the cream. You don't scramble it. There. Continue to whisk slowly. We're going to keep this down on a medium. What you're going to want to do is add in your xanthum, your cocoa powder, your butter, and your vanilla next. So I'm going to need you to stand here and stir very, very slowly like this. Don't whisk it. And my xanthum is going to be half a teaspoon of vanilla. So 1/3 cup of the cocoa powder is what we said?
Yes.
Where's the third cup?
Under the camera.
3 tablespoons of butter separate. You drop them in separately so that they melt instead of all together so that they don't clump. Alright, so we're going to, it says to leave it on a medium, whisking constantly, very slowly for about 3 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. 3 minutes. Alright, so we're going to put the cheesecake onto the crust. Bring that up to the center a little bit. Try and make as even a layer as you can. And what you're going to do is this is going to go on top of this layer. But honestly, let this cool down for about 15 minutes or you're just going to melt everything underneath it. So we're going to set this aside to cool. Alright guys, so I put this in the fridge for a few minutes while this was cooling down. My chicken is still clucking. It's almost done. Honestly, my pudding is kind of cooled down now. I didn't want this breaking apart in the heat that is the stove, and you know, just in general this house is really hot. I'm going to ladle the pudding onto the rest of the pie so I don't break up the cheesecake, the whipped cheesecake part too much. I kind of learned my lesson when I did the lemon squares, where I just kind of poured it on top and it kind of broke up the crust in the center a little bit. Alright guys, so this goes in the fridge for 2 hours, and then we're going to take it out, make a whipped topping, spread that across, and then it's going to go in the fridge for 2 more hours. So I'm going to put this at the bottom of the fridge. Okay, so the topping is going to be like just a whipped cream, basically. I need 1.5 cups of heavy cream. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of erythritol. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. And a half teaspoon of vanilla extracto. My Patronus is a donut. Do is we're going to grab it out of the fridge. It's been in for 2 hours. That's what it looks like so far. And we're going to layer the whipped topping. And then we're going to put it back in the fridge for 2 more hours. Or overnight, however you want it. Whenever you're able to enjoy. I'm just gonna lightly kind of try to dust it. I don't have a sifter or anything in the container. It's not gonna be perfect, unfortunately. It's just one of those kitchen items I don't have. Light coating of some cocoa powder on the top, and this is going to go back in the fridge for 2 hours or overnight or however, basically so all the layers harden up and form together. And it's been 4 hours total.
Yep, just got done sitting for 2.
Yep, just got done sitting for 2. My pan is a 9x9. Those layers.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me,